Alistair, good afternoon to you. Yeah, I'm at Záhony. It's 2 kilometres from the Ukrainian border. And this really is the main access point for anyone leaving Ukraine deciding to come to Hungary. Now, the departures board behind me, we've been here over the course of the morning. It's been quite difficult to ascertain exactly when people are arriving. This says that at 1:37 our time, so in just 2 minutes' time, there should be a train coming in from Ukraine, from this very small town. It's a very short train ride, only about 17 minutes, but there have been significant delays in when those trains do actually arrive. For when people do, the station is quite quiet now. When they do, there's a sudden influx of people. They can come here to the ticket office, show their Ukrainian passports, and then get what they're describing as a solidarity ticket. You can then get a ticket often to Budapest, and then from Budapest, where we spent the last couple of days, you've pretty much got access to anywhere you want to go to in the EU. I just want to very briefly show you what it's like outside, because there is a huge team of volunteers. Actually, these 2 gentlemen have driven over from Bristol to help with a whole lot of toys and materials for people. But you can see here we've got people providing, there's food, water, hot food, and in this white tent behind as well. There's a significant setup, not only just looking after the refugees, but also for some people this has almost been home for the last 2 weeks or so. It's over 300,000 people that have come to Hungary from Ukraine. The majority of them will have come through this border point, or just 2 kilometres away. There's a road border as well that's much quieter. The train actually has been the easiest way for people to get in, because there's been real disruption on the roads. And what we're hearing, particularly from some of the other volunteers here, is there's been a real lull in people coming over here because there's some significant problems, and they're expecting later on today and potentially tomorrow lots of people arriving. When they do, the people who are arriving here are making really big decisions about where to go next. Lots of them, their first stop though from here will be Budapest, where we've spent some time over the last couple of days. And I met 2 women who are then trying to work out, now they're in Budapest, what life looks like. Budapest Keleti station. Hundreds of people, women and children, have been arriving from Ukraine every day since Russia invaded. This makeshift humanitarian centre off Platform 6 is providing some order amongst the chaos. A team of volunteers are providing food, medical supplies, offers of free transport and accommodation, even a creche. Many arriving are choosing to transition through Hungary. It's a country that famously has tried to keep refugees out. Anna arrived with her mum, 2 sisters and her extended family yesterday. Today, home's currently a children's outdoor therapy centre, 20 miles from the train station, that's looked after 50 Ukrainians since the conflict began.
When the war was started, we so scared. We hear a lot of attacks, missiles, bombs. It's why we don't have any choice just to leave our city. I cannot even imagine when in next month I will get up in next country. My father decided to stay for territorial defense in Kryvyi Rih in my city. Honestly, I am so worried about him, but he stayed in Ukraine.
Back in the city centre, one of the music venues has turned its changing rooms into classrooms.
Tell your partner about yourself. For example, Sonia.
Anxious to make sure their children have some sense of structure, normality and education, several Ukrainian teachers, like Yulia, have set up their own school.
So my daughter is with me now, and she's 11, and my son is in Ukraine because he's 21 years old and he can't leave Ukraine. You don't know when it will finish, and so you can plan your life, and that's the problem. So we try to find a school for my daughter. It's a problem in Hungary, and just, you don't know, you can't explain children also why they need to go to school, because they're all expected the war would finish in 1 month or in 1 week or in 3 days. They decided just to find some rooms where children will be able to get education, to see each other, to interact, to communicate, to see that life is going on.
Today was day 2 of lessons. Yulia is hopeful this won't be needed long term. Rosie Wright in Budapest for GB News. Some other of the women I've met today have just been utterly remarkable. There was an 80-year-old lady who actually was an English teacher in Ukraine who's fled Kharkiv, having spent 1 week in an underground shelter that she said was just totally not prepared to actually then have to house and look after people living there for a week. She came with her sister, who's 72. They're going off to Canada because they've got a relative there. Another woman I met, Elena, a 19-year-old student. She's a history student. She was living much nearer, much closer to the Belarus border, 40 kilometres from there, in trying to flee that way. And I'm sorry this is so graphic, but the convoy of cars that she was in was shot at, and the driver sat next to her was killed. Now, she can't actually remember how she got out of the car. She was reunited with some of her family here this morning. It has been utterly remarkable. These people, they look at times a bit glazed over and quite tired, but they're not over emotional. They are just being pragmatic, realistic, getting on with it, carrying with them the bare minimum of stuff. That one student carrying nothing because everything she had in the car was left and destroyed when it was shot at. No documents, got to start again, try and get more identification papers and just basically work out where it is they go next and what they do. It was quite amazing meeting people in Budapest who decided, okay, we're going to stay here, we're going to work things out from here, but lots of people, as I said earlier, arriving this station, they don't actually know at what point where they're going to go and what they're going to do next.